I'm Logan Webb, and you're listening to TortureCast.
Swinging. There's a high drive. Deep into left center field. It's on its way. Adios! Pelota!
Let's go Giants! SF Giants! Let's go Giants! SF Giants!
A grand slam for Buster Posey's good friend.
A podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Chad King, Eric Nathanson, and Willie Dills. This is the TortureCast.
Batting left-handed against the righty Romano. First and third, one out. Patrick hits a high drive, deep right center field. This one is off the top of the wall, and it ricochets, and it's rolling on the warning track. 2 runs are in. Bailey coming around third. Patrick Bailey scores! It's an inside the park walk-off home run. Now we've seen everything. And Patrick Bailey gets tackled as he crosses home plate. Amazing!
It's Thursday, July 10th, 2025, and this is episode 318 of the TortureCast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. And I don't think that call needs an introduction if you're a Giants fan. It happened 2 nights ago. That was Dave Fleming's wonderful call of Patrick Bailey's walk-off 3-run inside the park home run in the bottom of the ninth against the Philadelphia Phillies. And like he said in that call, now I've seen it all. I mean, that is something I don't think any of us, one of the slowest, if not the slowest runner on the team, maybe him and Wilmer should have a foot race, easily made it around the bases because of Oracle's unique structure and dimensions and concrete and bricks and all the different angles they have. It's shot by the center fielder and the right field and the left field. It's shot by everyone, and he made it all the way around easily. So I know you got a story to tell. You were going crazy when that was happening, wasn't it? And by the way, Eric Nathanson is with me right now.
Amazing. I love how he punctuates it at the end there. The Flem call was fantastic because you could just hear the excitement in his voice. And thankfully, his voice didn't crack like it did when Renteria hit the homer. So if forever he doesn't have to have that played back at him like that. I was watching, I was at work. I was in the motel lobby, and I was sitting in one of the chairs in the lobby when Wilmer had his at bat. And then Bailey, he did it. And I stood up when the ball was in the air. And as soon as it ricocheted, I swear, I was doing the windmill in the middle of the motel lobby, screaming at the top of my lungs, send him, send him, send him, send him, send him. And I think my shoulder still hurts today, 2 days later, because I haven't used it that hard, that fast, and that long. I was going as fast as Matt Williams. I don't know if you saw the You Spin Me Right Round remix with Matt Williams' arm going around, KMBR put out. Oh, my God, it's so funny. KMBR put it out. That was just genuinely, I mean, he said it. He's like, now we've seen everything. This team, I said it to you before the show started, they're kind of a boring team at times, and then they have these moments of just sheer amazement and like, what did I just witness? And that was just so unexpected, so out of the blue. Patrick Bailey's not hitting the ball well at all lately. He's got 1 home run on the year. And he squared that up. And my favorite thing about this is the home run trackers and StatCast said that that's a home run in 29 out of 30 ballparks. The only ballpark that's not a home run in, Oracle Park. And so he negated that by it kicking. I mean, that was amazing. I don't think I've ever seen a ball hit the slope. That's what it looked like it hit, like the slope of the cement at the top, and then just ricocheted straight right past the outfielders and anything like that. I mean, aside from the Angel Pagan inside the park walk off, I mean, that was just this. That was more expected than this in a sense, because it's Patrick freaking Bailey. Like, there's no way that you thought in that moment that was going to happen, and then just to see it unfurl. I mean, that's this. It's had everybody buzzing. It's a shame they went out and totally crapped everywhere yesterday because they didn't really take any momentum from it. But that was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life.
Two thoughts. One, you just brought it up, but I wonder what Vegas had for prop bets for that. Like, if there was any casino that you could select an inside the park home run to end the game, probably not because there's too many permutations. But if there were, man, you'd be retired. I'm just saying, because no one would have expected that. The casinos would have laughed you out of the sports book. But the other thing was, you just brought up Angel Pagan, and of course they were comparing it a lot to that. And we have so many playoff memories, the 3 World Series championships, even moments in the 21 season and other seasons where they didn't make it all the way. But then there's the indelible regular season moments. And Angel Pagan's inside the Parker was certainly one of them, one we always remember to this day. This will absolutely be equal or more memorable than Angel Pagan's inside the Parker. We'll be talking about this, assuming we're still doing the show in 10 years.
Well, that's what I want to ask you.
14, this is our 15th season, right? But we'll be talking about this when we're, even older and grayer.
What was the more amazing? I rank this one higher than the Pagan inside the Parker.
I do.
This one was
saying equal or better.
Yeah, coming from behind 2 runs. The catcher who can't hit, coming to the plate instead of a speedy guy like Pagan. And it wasn't even a close play at the plate. Like, Pagan had to slide in shortly before the tag. This one, Bailey ran through it like he was finishing, a race on a track. And I don't know about you, but I had that one moment where I was like, did he touch the plate? And then replay showed that the front of his foot did touch the edge of the plate.
When you see it in real time, because when I saw the replay twice, I didn't notice it until probably the 3rd time. When I saw him cross the plate, I was like, his foot didn't look like it was very... And then I had to rewind it and kind of... I'm like, oh, man, he barely got it. It's kind of funny. Oh, man.
I was yelling it as he's heading home. I was like, just don't miss the plate. Just don't miss the plate. Just don't miss the plate,
Yeah.
And I was worried he was going to there for a minute. I went and watched the Phillies broadcast of it, and they were bummed, but they were more stunned than anything else, just like everybody else.
It was pretty good. Their reaction was not bad. I actually was. It was nice, to be honest.
Yeah, they weren't crushed. They were just like, wow, that just happened.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if I could call it up real quick.
I don't know. I don't know who the color guy was, because it used to be John Kruk, and it used to be different guys when I watched Philly games when I lived back in PA, and I haven't watched enough of them this year, so I don't know who the actual call was. Maybe I'll look it up now. But that was, just all of them. We talked about it. Kipe's voice was totally screwed up, and he had been down, and here's a random question. I don't know the last time I heard John do a game. I listen on the radio as well as watch just about every game because I step outside and smoke during the game, and I haven't heard John Miller in forever.
That is a really good point. I mean, honestly, because I never listen to the radio anymore. I'm so busy. I'm usually on the TV. But you're right. I have not. I can't recall hearing him.
Yeah, Flem did Monday's game all by himself. It was I went outside during the 2nd inning, and I heard him call an entire half inning, and I'm like, oh wow, nobody chimed in. And Kipe just said his voice doesn't feel well. What is Flem going to do for the middle 3? So Flem called the entire game by himself, and then FP jumped in the booth with him for the last 2 days. FP's been really good in the radio booth. Even Joe Rizzo has been really good with Dave Fleming. I like FP Santangelo. I like the way he looks at the game and the way he breaks things down.
Yeah, I don't have my Instagram logged in, but he has some posts not that long ago, a few weeks ago, John Miller himself. But I don't know what's going on with him right now. I did find the Phillies.
Just on the side.
Yeah, well, I just did have it, and then I think I closed it like the dummy I am. I guess I lost it. Anyway, the Phillies call
typical podcasting when you have 18 tabs open at the top.
That's the problem. I have like 18 tabs, right? Oh God, Chad, you're such an idiot.
I've got 9 open right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's just how it is when we're trying to bring you an informative podcast. We like to have the information at our fingertips.
Oh my God, I think I have it here though. Okay, here we go.
Working on it. Stretch that out long enough.
Now, here we go. Now I got it. And then it fails on me. Yeah, you're right. This is quality. This is quality broadcast content. when technology is not yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna try really
This
fast.
the plate.
is how this sausage gets made.
All right, do you hear this?
And a high fly
No.
ball to deep right
Yeah.
center field. Castellanos is back. And it
All right, I'm gonna give up on that. I'm not gonna waste your time.
Yeah,
anymore.
it faded away. Yeah, don't worry about it. Let's not do it. So I think it was Tom McCarthy on the call.
Mhm.
I don't know who the guy in the booth was with him. It might have been Ruben Amaro Jr. So I don't know.
It was
But
pretty
yeah,
good
it was. It was disappointing. Yeah, it was. They were just disappointed. They were just kind of like, oh my God, I don't think I've ever seen that before. And I love the symmetry. And they showed it during yesterday's game. The last time somebody hit a multi-run inside the park home run to come back and win a game was Bob Denier of the Phillies against the Giants back in '86.
Woo! 1986.
Which
My
is-
lord.
Which is just amazing, So, like the last time it happened, it was the exact same two teams, but in the other team city, that was amazing. And first catcher with a walk-off inside the Parker in 99 years, only the third one to do it in Major League
I was
history.
about to say, how many times does that happen? Right? Not too many times.
Yeah.
It is their
Yeah,
ninth
there was only one
walk-off of
other
the
time
year.
before that.
And
Yeah.
that's pretty incredible because last year they had 11, which is, I think, very close to the most of the last 5 years. In 23, they had 8 the whole season. In 22, they had 9, which is what they have now. 21, their 107 win year, they only had 5, but we were talking about that prior to the show. And it's probably because when they won by a wide margin. They didn't have these squeakers all the time. They didn't have as many close games. So it seems a little counterintuitive, but when you think about it, you're like, okay, their average run differential is higher, so they're going to have fewer tight games. So they're probably just not going to be in that many situations. But yeah, that's 9 walk-off wins, and they're sitting at 51 wins now. They're in second place, 5 games behind the Dodgers, and in the third wild card spot. Right now, or as of a little bit ago, San Diego and St. Louis were both winning. If they both win, they'll only be a half game behind the Giants, just outside of the wild card window. And you brought up a really good point, and I wanted to bring this up too. While I was on vacation, obviously I didn't watch too much Giants. We were doing a lot of stuff, and when I was peeking at scores, when my phone was giving me updates, because I have it update me when score changes, it wasn't good news most of the time while I was on vacation. They got swept at home by the Marlins, and then they went to Chicago to the White Sox, one of the worst teams in the majors, and lost 2 out of 3 there, 5 out of 6, and they're 5 games back of the Dodgers. And you brought up the point before the show, if they had just won 3 of those games, 3 more of those games, like 4 out of 6, which is very reasonable, and they should have done that, they'd only be 2 back of the Dodgers right now. And it's frustrating because they absolutely laid an egg against 2 really, really crappy teams, and those are the teams that you need to beat up. Thankfully, they came back and they were able to take 2 of 3 from Philly, and they split the series before that after losing the first 2. But at one point, they have won 4 out of 5 and 6 out of 8. But prior to that, they had lost 7 out of 8 during those sweeps and that lost series to the White Sox. So this has definitely been a Jekyll and Hyde team. There just doesn't seem to be that consistency that we're looking for. They'll take 2 out of 3 from a good Phillies team and then get swept by the Marlins. I don't know where this team's going right now. It's kind of confusing. All that said, they're in a playoff position. Going into the All-Star break, they'll be in the hunt. And that's about as much as we had asked for at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're definitely going to be buyers at the deadline, I think. They really would have had a bad week. And I think in our next show, we'll kind of talk about what needs that they have to address at the trade deadline. But, they're interesting. They're in it, and you can appreciate that. It's just so frustrating, though, because, Friday, June 13th, they start that big series with the Dodgers. Webb goes out, twirls a gem. They beat Yamamoto. They tie the Dodgers for first place. By the end of June, they're 8 games out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unbelievable how that happens. And their high was 9 games back to start July after July 1st. And finally, they're 5 games back, thankfully, because LA has been on a 6-game losing streak where they're getting outscored in bunches, aside from yesterday's game when they just got eked out at the end. But they've been getting their butts kicked by Houston and Milwaukee. And so, I kind of don't like seeing that heading into this series because the Dodgers are pissed. They want to score some runs and win some games. But, that stretch, that was the stretch. They had this long homestand against Cleveland, Boston, and Miami. and they lost 2 out of 3 to Cleveland. They took 2 out of 3 from Boston. Okay, great. So they're sitting at 3-3 at the homestand, and then they finish it out 3-6, losing 3 straight to Miami, and then going to Chicago and only scoring, runs for them. 3-0 and 2 runs, 5 runs in 3 games, where every other team goes into Chicago. Toronto just went in and scored like 20 runs. The Dodgers went in right after the Giants and scored like 20 runs. Yeah. Every other team scoring runs in Chicago, but they totally, dried up. And it's frustrating because there is talent. You can see it. The lineup we saw the last few days is the lineup we got going forward probably. And so you want to see them click, and they've scored a few runs, but they're entertaining, but you're right. You're not sure how good they are.
The trifecta is here, by the way. And Willie, what'd you think of that walk-off by Bailey? We opened up the show with that.
Well, obviously that was the highlight of the season at this point, right? I mean, one of the greatest walk-offs you'll ever see. And there was some really funny, I'm sure you guys might have brought this up, some really funny, weird history with that the last time somebody was walked off by inside the park down by more than one, I think it was against the Giants, and Dwayne Kuiper made that call too. I don't know if you guys saw that, but
yeah, Bob Denier.
It was like 20 years ago or something like that.
86.
Yeah, there you go. And Kuiper made it was against the Giants, unfortunately. What was it, the Phillies who did it to us?
Yeah, it was. It was in Philly that Bob Denier did that.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, wild. But yeah, that was so. What's funny about that game is I've been pretty. I was just listening to you guys talk there for a second, and I've been more optimistic, I think, than most about this team, even through the downturn, because during that downturn, that was very clearly a team in a slump, a team-wide slump. That wasn't a team that looked to me like, oh, we just don't have the talent. We don't have the guys to make this happen. We had a bunch of guys all collectively just having horrible, horrible times at the plate at exactly the same time. And, I made a post on the Reddit that, some of you guys as fans, I'm reading your comments, and I think you guys might not have the stomach for baseball. And maybe you should try out football, where there's only 17 games. Because in football, it's pretty clear pretty early on where your team's going to be at. And in baseball, there's 162 of these games. And the Giants have had we've had multiple times we've won at least 7 in a row, right? And a bunch of times where we've had struggles. And the Dodgers, I think the most talented team in baseball, I think everyone would agree, are currently on a 6-game losing streak. Right. So it can happen to anybody in baseball. But the fact is that during that game specifically, for some reason, I felt like this is one of those games we're not going to score. And I haven't had that feeling in a long time. And I was very close to turning that game off, but I was like, I had that feeling a few times this year that we're not going to pull this one out, and then we've come from behind. And thank God I got to watch that ending, because that was the best. And I love that Patrick Bailey hit it, realized where he hit it, and then immediately started running as fast as he could, because he
pimped it for that first moment. Yeah, that's what I think is so funny about it, is that he still had the time to pimp it briefly and then run around the bases and beat the ball by like a good second that it came into the infield. That was amazing. So we talked about it before you jumped on. Do you think that one's going to be more memorable than the Angel Pagan?
Well, I guess it depends. Okay, for a couple reasons, yes. Obviously, it's Patrick Bailey who's struggling mightily. And, that is one of those moments where you're like, okay, can this be the thing that turns him around? But the other thing about the Pagan one that makes it memorable is that he immediately went on the disabled list right afterwards. So I don't know.
That's right.
I forgot about that.
I will never forget the fact that he
right
immediately missed like 20 games or something like that.
He I think it was more than that. And their season totally tanked with him out of the lineup. Yeah. I remember they were competitive. That was like May 25th of 2013. And they were competitive. And then he goes out of the lineup and they tanked for like the next month and a half. And it killed their playoff chances.
Yeah, it turned out Pagan was pretty important to that lineup that year. But yeah,
he was the engine.
That's wild. 2013. I think that's one of the things about that one too that's memorable, is the fact that it was in the midst of our dynasty years, right? So when we had our up years, then our down year, then our up year, then our down year. So a lot of people were watching then. I feel like this team is the most exciting it's been in a long time, even more exciting than the 107 wins, right? Just as a fan standpoint, just as a team to watch. Even when we lose, it's interesting. And so I'm dialed into every game. In fact, the other day I was at dinner with my pool team and I was watching the game on my phone, and all of them were like, "Are you serious? You're watching the game right now on your phone?" I'm like, I can't miss a Giants game right now, you guys. I'm sorry. I right now I feel like I have to watch them all. And I don't know if anybody else is having that feeling with this team, but it's just there's something's going to happen this year. It really feels that way to me.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, like I was just saying, they're in a position that we just all hope they would be right now. Yeah, you're right. Every team goes through these slumps, and the internet definitely seems to pile on when things get kind of bad real quick. But they turned it around. They lost those 6 out of 7 or 7 out of 8, and now they've won 6 out of 8. Even though they got crushed 13-0 yesterday, is their worst loss of the season. Those are one of those games that they don't bother me that much because it wasn't about lost opportunities and it wasn't a what could have been. Yeah. It was like you just sometimes shit the bed and that's it.
Sometimes Tristan Beck just can't get an out, right? I mean that's the thing. Like that game it came down to one guy basically blew that game. I mean, Verlander goes out and throws technically a quality start. We can't score a run for him, obviously. It's 0-7 now. But then Tristan Beck comes in. I can't remember. There was one other guy in between them, and then he comes out, and it was like one out and like 6 straight hits or something like that. I mean, it was ridiculous, and that's going to happen sometimes with a single reliever just blows up. So it's like and also you already won the series. That one didn't bother me as much. Maybe it should have.
No, it didn't bother me.
If we do lose to now the slumping Dodgers 3 games in a row, I will be very bothered.
Yes. Up, by the way. Yeah. Now this is they already lost 2 out of 3 in LA, so this is their time to exact retribution. If they can take 2 out of 3, they'll go in 4 games back at the All-Star break. That's not too bad. It's really weird about the run differential because the run differential wasn't bad at 33, and then in one game it goes 20. It's just like a couple more.
They're 27. They're 27 and 18 at home with a run differential of +3.
Wow!
So they're 9 games over at home with a +3 run differential. So that's how much that skewed the numbers yesterday.
Oh, that's insane.
I don't know. I haven't looked at this number, but I imagine the Giants are very good in 1-run ball games, though.
They are 21 and 16.
Okay, there you go.
Hey,
this game feels like
good.
It ekes out the wins. It ekes out the wins. We do not blow people out. We do get blown out. They keep showing
stats though during games. Giants are, have the most wins when trailing by 2 runs. The Giants have the most wins in games decided by 2 runs or less. So they're getting the job done when they need to. It's a razor thin edge right now. It really is. The margins are very tiny. But I mean, they have the team that they want to have together right now. I mean, Schmidt moving over to second and actually locking in and hitting the ball better has been a help. Chapman back, he'll just get healthier. The lineup that they have going right now, you're rotating Smith and Flores at first. Adames has picked it up. The biggest holes right now are Lee in the outfield, which has kind of been killing them, and Ramos has been in a rough streak lately too. But the lineup we see right now is the one that we're going to have going forward for a little bit.
Well, so that's the thing, though.
Yeah, they are. They really are right now.
That's the thing. Is like there was somebody on Reddit, and this is like one of the reasons why I'd posted about people maybe not having the stomach. Somebody on Reddit posted, "Well, do you think it's time to give up on Jung-Hoo Lee? The Jung-Hoo Lee experiment might be over." And I feel like I gotta just tell these people, I'm sorry, guys, we're not giving up on Jung-Hoo Lee, and we're not giving up on Ramos, and we're not giving up on, like some guy was saying, what do we do with Chapman when he comes back because Schmidt's so hot? And I'm like, are these people serious? These are not serious. You know what I mean? Like,
I gotta say, in my Giants chat or group chat, we've been talking about Schmidt moving to second base for like a month and a half, 2 months. It's just coincidental that he locked it in right now, and he seems like he's stayed pretty locked in, even coming back from the injury. You never thought Casey Schmidt would be a bit of a boost to the lineup, but he is. And it allowed Fitzgerald to go down and work some things out. which is fine. I'd
I'm
rather
actually-
have Schmidt in the lineup.
I'm a Schmidt believer,
So
and
am I.
I think if a fan wants to go back for when he first came up, I predicted at the beginning of his kind of when he was just coming up. I predicted that this guy is at some point in his career. I don't think he's going to be a perennial all-star, but I think he will make an all-star game at some point in his career. I don't know if that's going to be for the Giants, but like, he has tools. It's just
That's
is he
fair.
going to ever do it?
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
he reminds me a lot of like, Bill Miller or something like that. Whereas he's not going to have like a massive, 7 or 8 year stretch where he's, a really good top of the line player. But he's going to have one good season, one good first half of the season at some point. I fully believe that. I still do.
Well, he had a lot of potential coming up. You even saw Schmidt jerseys at the park, which kind of surprised me at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the next Buster Posey, but at the same time, he had a lot of hype coming up. So, yeah, I think maybe some maturity is going to play into this. Some seasoning, moving over to second, having that confidence even after injuries. Maybe he feels more like he belongs here. Maybe there was some doubt in there. But yeah, he seems to be waking up. So
There
that's
seems to be a
definitely what
confidence
the Giants
there. You're right. You nailed that.
Mhm.
You nailed that.
need now. Speaking of All-Stars, they did release the rosters this week, and 3 Giants did make the roster. All pitchers, and when you think about it, probably not a hitter that really was justified to make the team.
I think we all agreed this is what it was going to be. It was
Yeah,
going to
we
be
knew it was going to be like that. So
3
and,
pitchers, 1 out of the bullpen. I didn't predict Randy. I thought it was actually going to be
no,
like
I
maybe
did.
Duvall, depending on where he was at the time, or maybe even like Eric Miller. But Randy, obviously, you can't ignore him, right? He's
I've been saying
leading
it
the
for a
league in
month.
ERA, so.
Yeah, he's their best reliever. I'm sure I said it over the last month or few episodes. Randy's going to be an all-star if he keeps this up, and sure enough.
all right.
Oh,
I'm
Rogers was the other name that I think would have made sense too, right?
Yeah, so who made it,
Yeah.
of course, was Webb, Ray, and Randy Rodriguez. Unfortunately, Robbie Ray, who is pitching against the Dodgers on Sunday. There used to be a rule in the major leagues where if you did pitch on Sunday, you were not allowed to play, but now it's actually a player option. They can choose to play if they want, but he declined, so they replaced him with New York Mets starting pitcher David Peterson. According to Alex Pavlovich, the Giants definitely lobbied MLB to replace him with Tyler Rogers, but they said no. So David Peterson will replace him. Now, of course, he still has the All-Star on his resume. He just can't participate. I don't know if he's traveling there or whatever. We did do All-Star guesses, remember, guys, in the beginning of the year. So I'm looking back on that tab right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so here we go.
I'm guessing we all picked. I'm guessing we all picked Webby, right?
No, Eric did not. So I had Webb and Chappie. Willie, you had Webb, Chappie, and Walker.
Oh, Walker. I was big on Walker at the beginning of the season. Yep. And then
Eric, you had all hitters.
hasn't
You had
paid off.
Ramos, Adames, and Chappie.
Damn.
Wow.
No, you did not have Webb. So yeah, none of us called Ray. We
I
never
can't
saw
believe I
Ray
didn't
this
have
season.
Ray. Yeah, I was hyping him up to start the season. I can't believe I didn't have Ray on that list.
I love it.
Nobody had Randy. I mean, nobody expected Randy Rodriguez.
Nobody,
No, I don't think anyone had that anywhere in the United
Well,
States.
I was really impressed with him last season, but I did not think that a non-closing reliever was ever going to get the call for the Giants. I mean, it just doesn't really happen,
Yeah,
and
no, it's a
especially in the
rarity.
All-Star game, you don't really even use those guys. You basically just use a bunch of starters, So,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, pleasant surprise. He looks absolutely insane. Somebody was talking about why has he not moved into the closer role, and I think the obvious answer is Duvall hasn't really done any real damage to his reputation there. Obviously, outside of being sketchy, which every closer is kind of sketchy.
Mhm.
But he did have a chance. I don't know if you guys remember. He did have a chance during this season. He's actually
Mhm.
got one save, and he had another one where he did not do so well in the
He did not do well
Right.
at all.
scenario. So.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So you get 2 chances, one not so great. Then maybe we like you in the 6th and the 7th inning instead.
Yeah, it seems like Bob decided he didn't want to put any more pressure on Rodriguez, but he definitely does line up as a future closer. I could see him being the closer of the 2026 San Francisco Giants.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like him to get one more pitch though. I think if he develops like a changeup or something like that, because right now he is just purely 2 pitches, which is okay as a closer. But man, if he could develop one more pitch, he would be just absolutely disgusting because you can a little bit sit on velocity with him, right? And that's always a little sketchy when you got major league hitters, right? If they can sit on velocity, you can't change that up very much. That makes things a little tougher.
By the way, I just wanted to do a check-in on some of our preseason predictions just to see where we are right now.
Yeah, check it out.
I went 82, Willie 88, Eric 79. So far, Willie, you're on track. 88 is kind of the ballpark that they're shooting for right now.
If we can not tank the rest of the season, then yes, we should be all right for that.
Eric and I will be coming into play. Yeah, if they bomb in August or something. Third place in the NL West for me and Willie. Fourth for Eric. Playoffs. Willie was the only one that said yes. Team leader in home runs is Chappie for me, Willie, and then Ramos for Eric. So Eric's kind of
none of us picked Devers. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? What the hell? Another thing we could not have seen coming. Team leader in average, I went with Ramos. You guys went with Lee. And Lee was looking great at the beginning of the year, and I don't know what's happened to that guy. Yeah. He is just falling off the table.
Well, he had the almost psycho game after he had one day off, and then right back into the tank, essentially.
Right back into the side. All of us took Webb for team leader in wins. I took Webb, and you took Webb, Willie, as ERA leaders, and then Eric, you took Ray. And they're really close right now. Ray has 9 wins, Webb has 8. They could not be closer in ERA and not be tied. Webb with a 2.62 and Ray with a 2.63. So they're neck and neck in both of those categories, which is pretty interesting. And then I already went over All-Stars, and we'll find out Gold Gloves later. But kind of interesting. Definitely some stuff we didn't figure on, but here we are. So Robbie Ray, like I said, was being replaced. Do you guys want to go over the All-Star rosters or skip that?
No, not really. I don't care.
Yeah. It's like some of these guys I don't really care about. That's why I asked. So I did want to
one story that came out of it was almost eight Dodgers position players at one point, which would have been disgusting and sickening. But we didn't get that scenario, luckily.
My biggest beef is that Seiya Suzuki was left off the team. The guy's leading the league and runs batted in, and just because the other 2 outfielders from the Cubs, PCA and Kyle Tucker, are there, Seiya doesn't get in there too. I think that's a bunch of crap. And on the American League side, Julio Rodriguez is just having an absolute dog shit year. And somehow, he gets on the roster. They literally cut a guy with his numbers about a week ago. And he's an all-star? How the hell does that make sense? How do you even justify that? That's my only thoughts on the all-star roster. Other than that, I don't care. But say I got screwed.
I agree with you. I mean, it's the All-Star game has always had this rule of you got to have at least one representative from every team. And so you look through the roster, and here we go. I think the obvious one is Kyle Stowers of Miami, right? He's the only Marlin on the team, and he's an outfielder. So it's like, come on, really?
Yep.
We want to
That's
see
the exact scenario. That's what it is. That's why Suzuki isn't an all-star. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, I don't really like that rule, honestly. It's like if you don't deserve to be there, then it's an all-star game. It's not a pickup baseball game with all the worst kids in the PE yard. It's you know what I mean. It's like we don't need to make the Marlins feel better. Okay, in fact,
it's a little league rule.
It's literally a participation trophy for some of those teams that just wouldn't otherwise have a player.
It's a little league rule. I know my little league had it. Every team, had 2 or 3 all-stars. That's all it is.
Children.
Exactly.
And they justify it with, well, every market, every team should have at least one player that their fans can root for. The Marlins, what fans? They have no fans.
Yeah, what fans?
No one's going to the game. They don't, I think there's a lot more Cubs fans and general baseball fans that would be much happier, than a random Marlins outfielder getting selected. It's just damn, man. Oh, well, that's the way it goes. That's the way baseball's always been constructed. There's always snubs every year. So, hey, I wanted to check in with Devers since the trade. We know that Adames has been hot since the trade. Devers, not so much. I'm not worried about it. I mean, it's, again, small.
I got Adames's numbers after you give Devers his numbers.
It's 22 games. It's not that much. 225, 2 home runs, 9 RBI, 706 OPS. But over his career, he has an 856 OPS, and he had a 905 OPS before the trade in Boston. So, again, adjusting to a new team, adjusting to a new park, blah, blah, blah. It's way too small of a sample size. It's just something to keep an eye on, because this guy is like a career 280 hitter, and he's, far below that right now. So hopefully, he'll hit a hot streak, and his stats will change pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. He will, and he's had a lot of really good at-bats that have not resulted in hits. But he smashes the ball. He does strike out a lot, but he always did that. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, it's expected that I think his average is going to drop coming into Oracle. It's just going to happen. Yeah, he's not going to be a 280 hitter the rest of his career if he stays here that entire time. He's going to be like 265-ish probably.
He's been a tick higher on the strikeouts, though, than he is normally. But we got to remember, he's also dealing with a back and a groin issue. And I think he, more than anybody, is going to benefit from the All-Star break. More than any other player on the Giants, he will probably benefit. I mean, because he struck out 31 times in 80 at-bats. Oh, 96 at-bats, my bad. No, 96 PAs. So it's like 1.4 a game right now. He's got 18 hits. He's only got 2 homers, and he's only got 5 doubles. So he has not been it. The team, though, that's the thing. So we're checking in on Devers, right? So let's check in on how the team's doing since the Devers trade. Do you think it would improve the team, the team statistics? Well, the Giants were 41-31, not including that Sunday night Dodger. I mean, I'm including that Sunday night Dodger game in before Devers. Because the trade happened right before the Sunday night game. They were 41-31 when they got him. They were batting .233. Since then, they're 10-12 and they're batting .226. They were averaging 4.3 runs a game before the Devers trade. They're averaging 3.6 runs a game since the Devers trade. They're leaving on base 6.9 runners a game, where they were leaving on base 6.6 runners a game. And their OPS has dropped from 689 to 657 over the last 22 games. So the whole team is kind of like just not risen to the occasion since the Devers trade, except for Adames.
Yeah, but there's more than two. There's several factors I think there. Chapman went down, and Wilmer came back to earth a little bit as far as just being an RBI machine, and then of course Jung-Hoo Lee has just an abysmal time at the plate. Adames riding the ship, you would think would maybe even all that out, but that's one guy riding the ship, and then multiple guys. Like Chapman going down left a big hole in our lineup. Like he's, even without just getting hits, kind of what he does to spark the team can't be understated, right? So I do think Adames maybe had a little bit of pressure taken off him just by Devers being there. And that could have something to do with the fact that, like, he's not swinging at pitches out of the zone, and I think that's the biggest difference I've seen. And that's one of those things that could be because he doesn't feel the pressure that he has to get the big hit. Like, if I take a walk, that's fine, right? And so he's definitely locking in there. So I do think the trend will be better once we look at the entire season, second half to first half. Once all said and done, though.
Yeah, Adames since the trade is batting .297 and his OPS is .857. He's got 3 homers. He's walked 12 times, speaking to your point, and scored 14 runs. And there was an at bat the other day where he got on base in the middle of a situation by a walk where he took ball forward that he normally would have swung at. And so I agree with you. Like, you can see that he's kind of locked in there. I agree. The pressure, he must feel like the pressure's off of him a little bit. And Devers is showing the pressure of being the big trade acquisition. So,
they literally swapped spots, right? I mean, he was the big acquisition. Now Devers is the big acquisition, and he's like, hey, I can just relax,
Yep, and that's why we need this break. Like, the All-Star break will really help them. The Giants are coming off 17 straight days playing games. This is their first day off in 2.5 weeks. So they really need to, they really need to kind of rest and recharge.
We talked about Justin Verlander before, and how he's chasing 300. We kind of laughed at that because he's still.
I think he's not anymore. I think he has to realize.
So obviously, it was going to take him multiple seasons to do this, and he's already age 42. However, this year I think two things are certain. He's not going to play for the San Francisco Giants next year, and he's not going to play for the San Francisco Giants next year because this dude is snake bit. Yeah, he's not having a great year. I get it. He's got a 4.70 ERA. He's got a 1.42 WHIP. He's got a 2.73 batting average against. These are pretty crappy numbers for his career. Now, compared to the league average, it's kind of around average, right? It's not that
Yeah, if you're a number 5
distant.
starter, that's
it's not that
kind of
distant.
fine, right?
And
But he's a 3.
And he's fit out of 15 starts with those stats. You're gonna just walk into a couple of wins. You're gonna have your team score 9 runs. You're gonna have a really good quality start and maybe allow 1 run and get the win after 6 innings. Those things happen to those pitchers all the time. He has not won a start in all 15 starts for the Giants, which is the longest in Giants history. And he's now only, 1 away from the record, which is Colorado's Chase Anderson, who got to 16. So that's it. He's got 1 more to tie it, 2 more to beat it, which is pretty crazy. That's hard to do. But despite his bad stats, he's also received just 26 runs of support in 15 starts. That is the second worst run support in all of baseball. So, and the bullpen has blown a lead 6 times in a Verlander start, and the Giants are 4-11 in his starts. So he's a little bit snake bit, and unless he has an incredible turnaround in the second half, pitches like an ace, and they go on a playoff run, this is a 1-year contract. He's 42. He's going to go elsewhere if he continues to play, that is.
Yeah, he might call it a day now that he realizes he can't get to 300. But, the only way that was even going to be realistic is if he got to maybe 10 this year, right? If you think about how many years he has left. And that's totally feasible if he has like a 3 ERA and pitches, even close to what he has done in his career. But he's definitely regressed, obviously, at 42 years old. Yeah. But I'm sure the things we haven't seen are all of the things he's done for the young pitchers on this staff and all of that stuff as kind of being a second pitching coach. So I'm not mad about this if it's a 1-year experiment that didn't work out. I do think, though, that if we are down the stretch and things are close, it might not make sense to be handing him the ball anymore. And it might be like, hey, this was fun, but, we gotta try to get to the playoffs. So that's one thing I'm a little concerned about.
I feel like he's going to be one of those players that in 10 years, someone's going to go, hey, remember when Verlander pitched for the Giants? And we'll actually go, did he? Because, like a Oral Hershiser or Darryl Strawberry or some of these random players, Joe Carter, right? Others that had these little short seasons with the Giants that you kind of wait, he was on the team? You kind of forget.
Yeah, guys like us remember that, but your average fan, no. When you tell them Oral Hershiser was on the Giants, they're like, wait, what?
Yeah,
no.
what? No.
No. It was actually quite exciting, too, at the time.
Did you remember that Verlander was on the Mets 2 years ago?
Yeah, I did remember that, but it was brief.
I didn't. I totally forgot. The other day in chat, somebody said something about it, and I was like, wait, the first thing I thought of was Justin Verlander was on the Mets? I totally forgot that. He got traded to Houston halfway through the season.
Yeah.
That was the year
I do remember because it was like the DeGrom Verlander thing was
right. Steve Cohen went all in, spending all that money.
They also get Scherzer that year, or am I tripping? Was that year?
Yes, and they traded Scherzer to the Rangers, and they traded Verlander to the Astros. I believe that's what happened. Okay. I'm with you. He's kind of been just a pitching coach this year. He's kind of doing the do as I say, not as I do routine. And, there's been a couple starts where he's started to fool some hitters, but that's the most frustrating thing when you're watching him. It just doesn't seem like Verlander's fooling hitters. I understand he's not getting run support, but there's no way he thinks he has to be fine. The guy's 42 years old. He's been around the block. He knows he can get through games giving up a few hits and a few runs, but he just doesn't fool anybody. It doesn't seem like anybody, any of the hitters have no idea what's coming. He might throw sick pitches every now and then that, break and they swing over the top of them. But it's very rare to see his fastball get by anybody anymore. And it's just one of those things where
yeah. The velocity is decent. What I've seen him do is just hang his breaking ball over and over and over again.
God.
And like he's not fooling anybody. So lots of loud contact and lots of pitching from behind. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the signing. I'm pretty sure on this show I said before the season started that I didn't understand the Verlander signing, and I still don't. But if the young pitchers, I am in agreement. If the young pitchers get some stuff out of this, if Robbie Logan gets some stuff out of this, Roupp, clearly Birdsong's not getting anything out of it because he also was not fooling anybody. I mean, that was what was amazing about it was Robbie Ray is pitching on Sunday because they skipped Birdsong in the upcoming series. And Birdsong didn't really let up any runs the other night when he pitched, but it was just so awful. The guys popped themselves out, and, you know, he looks like Verlander. But I really do. I appreciate what Verlander is doing for the staff, but it will definitely be a one-and-done scenario. It's not – nobody wants to continue. I bet he retires. I bet he's done after this year. Yeah. Although, if he doesn't get a win, he might, you know, get that, like, I need to still get one more win, like sign with Detroit for, like, no money, just so he can go home and do it.
Halfway through the season, right? He's got 15 starts, and he was on the IL for a little bit. But I think, reasonably speaking, I think the most he can have is, another 10 starts, 11 starts, something like that?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what if, like... It still seems statistically improbable that he's going to have another 10 starts without a win. But if that does happen, holy crap. I mean, I need to do my research. Has a pitcher with 20, 25 starts in a year ever gone winless? I don't know.
It's a great
question. Something that just doesn't even happen, right?
I mean, and if it's the first time, it's kind of fun that happened to one of our pitchers. You just hope it doesn't come at the cost of a wild card berth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because they're 4-11 in his start. So you're kind of like, that's already a kind of a playing from behind already, despite the lack of run support. All right, we already hit who's hot with Adames. Like you said, he's doing pretty well. Jung-Hoo Lee had a horrible June, hit 143. And then you put this in there, and I actually didn't realize how cold Ramos was, Eric.
Yeah, he's 167 with one homer in the last 2 weeks. He's just kind of disappeared. And he's not even that good in the field either. So Ramos has not been helping the team at all the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Transactions and injuries. We had Eric Miller, a valuable member of the bullpen. He's out on the 15-day IL for a left elbow strain, retroactive to July 3rd. Christian Koss with a left hammy pull, 10-day IL on July 1st. All these guys are going to come back after the break. And then Encarnacion still on the IL with the oblique strain. I mean, look, the guy was on the IL right away, came back, just couldn't hit a lick. Then, tweaked his oblique. He took some batting practice in Oracle on the 7th, but I don't know. We thought he was going to be a boost to the lineup potentially. I'm not hanging my hat on that anymore.
There's really not a spot.
That was we were scuffling so bad. We were like, any other name that's not in our current lineup.
Can I have just one rib? Can I just please come on?
Honestly, I like Matos over him. If I'm being honest, at least at this point. And I know Matos isn't lighting it up or anything, but at least he can play center field. So with Jung-Hoo Lee struggling, it's nice to be able to spell him there. So.
Well, tomorrow night.
Koss was I was going to say real quick. Koss was a shame because they're really starting to hit the ball when he
Koss
he went on the IL.
I'd rather him than Brett Wisely as our.
Same. Yeah. I wasn't sure about him at first, but he really kind of locked in. He was having some just really good swings when he went down. So that was a tough blow. And I mean, it opened up the door for Schmidt to move over to second. So I assume Koss will be back with the big club and Wisely will get sent down when he's back.
By the way, I have two kind of like miscellaneous items here that are only going to take a second, but I just want to throw them out there. One, I got MLB The Show recently. And updated the rosters to have Devers on the team. Simmed through the entire season. Didn't play a single one of the games. Just simmed it completely. Giants went to the World Series and lost to the Mariners. So that happened in my simmed version.
Interesting.
With Devers on the team, that was with the entire season. So I don't think the Mariners are at all going to get there. And I don't think the Giants are definitely going to, have a realistic chance. But that was kind of funny. I was like, I just kind of want to see what happens if we had a whole season of Devers. And literally with this exact squad, no changes. Obviously, there was injuries in and out. I didn't pay attention to all of them. But the Giants we beat the Dodgers in I think it was the conference or whatever, the NLCS. And then lost to the Mariners. That was wild. Second funny thing that happened recently was there's a John Boy video where they're talking about this Phillies game, and there was an at-bat with Matt Chapman where the umpire didn't call a couple of fairly obvious strikes. I don't know if
he was
saw it. Yeah, they were bad calls. But then at the end of the video, he shows the 2 times it was called a strike, and the 2 times it wasn't called the 2 times it. Hold on, let me get this right. The 2 times it wasn't called a strike when it should have been, and the 1 time it was called a strike, the exact same pitch. He overlaid all 3 of them on top of each other. There was one difference between the 3 things. The 1 time it was called a strike, the catcher started his glove in the dirt and came up and framed it. The 2 times it wasn't called a strike, the catcher kept his glove up in the air and moved his glove down. It was a low outside pitch. Moved his glove down. So, all the people who bitch and moan about Patrick Bailey, I think you guys all need to maybe sometimes shut the F up, because no matter what, he still is crushing the league in pitch framing. And it just showed to me like how crazy it was. And John Boy, I don't even think he talked about it in the video, but I instantly noticed it. I was like, the 1 time it got called, started the glove in the dirt, came up and did the modern catcher framing thing. And then 2 times he didn't do it and it didn't get the call. And that's what Patrick Bailey does better than anybody else. And that doesn't show up in most of the people's stats. You know what I mean? So.
It was a turning point in that game.
It was.
Harper,
Chapman got a hit.
Harper got screwed. Yeah, Harper got screwed in the top half of the 8th, and then Chapman was the beneficiary in the bottom half of the 8th. And 70-year-old Phil Cuzzy, and that one little moment might have affected the entire season, which is crazy to think about. But it was a big moment because if the Giants only win 1 of 3 from the Phillies is not as exciting. But the fact that they were able to win the game late on Monday and then have the walk-off on Tuesday was just phenomenal. So it was Phil Cuzzy needs to retire. I mean, that was the worst performance of umpiring I've witnessed this entire season.
It was pretty bad. It was bad, but obviously as a Giants fan, I'm watching that. I'm like, hey, well, we take those. But
totally. You got
it's a human element.
But it is one of those that I just watched. There's a YouTube video on the SF Giants YouTube channel showing Patrick Bailey's warm-up routine before a game and the amount of time they spend on him doing that move to frame the pitches where he just comes up and it's anybody who's ever tried that is very difficult to not have your glove in position at all and then flip a catcher's glove up into the zone to catch the ball perfectly where it just comes into the umpire's point of view and makes it a non-strike look like a strike. That is something he is absolutely the best at, and watching him practice it was pretty crazy. So it's one of those things we need to always remember. If he bats .220, he is a plus player.
He's fine. Yeah, he's fine. I hate that the subreddit gets on Bailey for his hitting. Like, who the hell cares? It just doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter.
Don't be the worst. Just be, 220 and a couple. And also, I will say this about Bailey. Even though he's not hitting well this season, he does have a lot of timely clutch hits. So. Yeah. He does have that.
And how is he not hitting better? I mean, did you see how shredded he is in those tank tops he was wearing? I mean, how is this guy not hitting the ball farther? He looks like he's totally cut. It's so funny.
Best hit balls I've seen all season that didn't go out. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of balls and strikes, as you just said, for 1 more year, it looks like, it hasn't been officially announced, that major leagues are probably going to move to the ABS system for next year, but they are going to use it in the All-Star game. So that's going to be fun. Each team each team's going to get 2 challenges. They get to retain the challenges if they are successful in their challenge. But it'll be just like you've seen before. Pitchers or hitters have to pretty much immediately challenge with the tap to their head or helmet. So I think we're going to see that in the All-Star game. It'll be fun. We've all seen it in minor leagues and spring training, so it's nothing new. But that is going to be interesting next year if it comes in next year, but it definitely is coming to the major leagues. There's no doubt about that. And that art that Patrick Bailey is so good at is potentially going to be lost, or at least extremely negated. You know, because there's a limit to the number of challenges you can give.
That's fine as well. It will still matter because if they're doing a challenge system, it will still matter.
Yeah.
I still think though that maybe if we're going to implement this at all, like why don't we just have a pitch comm in the umpire's hat? It just says strike or ball to them, and they can just do that. They can just follow it.
They did in some of the independent leagues. You know, they implemented that. So the umpire literally was just a human behind the dish to relay what the computer told him, which is crazy.
I mean, I understand it takes a lot of what he does away, but that's fine. Like, I don't know. If it takes away all this bull crap about, you know, people getting mad about missed calls and everything, and we have to talk after every single game about umpire performance. I don't know. It's just getting a little tiresome to talk about that and not baseball.
I'll tell you, those umpires that did have to deal with ABS in the minors, the one thing that they thought to themselves after they finished one of those games was, wow, I'm not as tired as I normally am, because you have to concentrate so hard when you're calling balls and strikes that you get mentally drained after the game. And I can only imagine not having to call the balls and strikes while I'm standing behind the plate. I'd be like, okay, this is like a vacation. Like, what am I really doing here? You know, there's not very many things happening around home plate during a game. Usually stuff's out in the field.
I got to ask you, Eric, because obviously you're the resident umpire expert. I umped for like 3 seasons when I was a teenager. That's my umping experience. And I recall, you know, just other little leagues, right? Kids that were basically 4 or 5 years younger than me at the time. This is who was umpiring.
Right.
There would be times, and I know the major leaguers probably experience this, and I'm sure you did, where a ball comes in, and it could be a play at first too, but a ball comes in, and I mean, it's just like, did that graze the black? Did it not? Did it graze the knee? Did it not? Was it right under the armpits? Was it not? And you got to make that call instantly. You can't show any hesitation. And it's like a coin flip in your head. And you're just like, strike! or, ball. I hated that feeling. I hated that feeling because there were calls you could not be 100% certain about.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't get that feeling often. I had a pretty defined strike zone.
That's good.
So
man.
I kind of... Yeah, I didn't have the feeling off, and I actually just flashed back to a game I remember umpiring back in the day, where it was the 2 top teams in the league, and they were locked in a tight one late, and one of the better pitchers that could paint the black was pitching, and I remember calling a ball on a pitch that like his entire team went nuts because they thought it caught part of the plate. And I was one of the most proud moments I had though as an umpire, because I knew I'd called it right, and I'd called that tight at bat really right. It was a key at bat in the game and stuff like that. So I didn't really have the coin flip doubts in my head. If I made a call, but I was also told early on, if you make a call, sell it. So it's possible that I just in my head sold everything to myself as well. But there were very rarely a coin flip. Tag plays are the worst. Tag plays are the hardest of all the coin flips. The bangers at first are not bad. You can hear the glove and see the bag. It lines up. Yeah, tag plays though to me were the worst. But balls and strikes, no. I had a good zone. I had a good defined zone. Everybody knew my zone was a little low, and I'm willing to give a little give on the corners. But I stayed consistent. If you umpire, you understand. Being told after the game, that's a great game. You were consistent all game. That's all you want to hear. It's really all you want to hear, because it makes it fair for everybody. And I was known for being consistent, so I didn't have a lot of coin flips in my head.
No, you're right.
I feel
you
like
need to be committed for sure.
Maybe sometimes I'm a little too willing to move on to the next thing. I'm clearly the one out of the 3 of us who has embraced the runner on second and over, and extra innings stuff and all that. But in my opinion, we now have the technology to get every single call right. So why don't we just get every single call right? You know what I mean?
I'm totally good with it. I really am. I mean, you put chips and balls in football so we don't have to deal with first down issues.
Guys are actually still just picking up the football and putting it where they think it was.
Right, and we have literal linked chain to mark the first downs. Like, we have technology. Let's use the technology. I totally agree with you. It would just be very weird.
It would be weird.
In that situation. But I'm with you.
I remember the first time I saw an iPhone with my eyes, and that shit was weird, man. Technology changes, and
like I don't mind the pitch clock. It
Yeah.
hasn't changed the game. If anything, the pitch clock's actually made the game a little better. I'm
Made
not
the
going to
game
lie.
So
I
it's grown
don't-
on me. It's grown on me.
I don't
Yeah.
mind some of these tweaks. I really don't. If we have the technology and we can trust the technology, we should use it. And the technology's out there. Tennis has been using this technology for like 20 freaking years
I
by
was
now.
about to bring up tennis.
So-
yeah, they've been
Yeah.
using it forever. So why not?
Right. So why
and-
can't baseball implement it? I'm fine with that.
I think lots of sports get bogged down in tradition. Like golf, I play a lot of golf, and golf is one of those where there's so many things, so many rules where I'm like, this is just silly and doesn't make sense when you really think about it. And I understand, penalizing, but there used to be things like people calling in from their homes because they saw a ball move on TV or something like that.
Most
and calling
ridiculous
penalty
thing I'd ever heard of.
Yeah, it's so insane. But to me, it's like getting bogged down in rules and infractions and penalties and all these things takes away from the game. And I'm there for the players, and I'm there for the game.
Right.
I'm there for the pitchers, the hitters, the fielders. I don't want to talk about the umpires. I'm sick of talking about the umpires.
I think
And they will obviously still have a role to play. They'll still have to kind of manage the game, make sure people are where they're supposed to be, doing what they're supposed to be doing, and all of that stuff. But yeah, he'll still call it. He's the one who gets the information in his pitch comm.
An umpire did his job if you didn't notice it. That's the truth. And umpires preach it to each other. If the umpire did his job right, you barely noticed he was there.
Yeah, you don't
Okay.
talk about him at all. Exactly.
Okay. How's this, guys? As technology advances even further, we're going to see ABS in the system or in the game. We're going to see humans still out in the field. Fast forward about 10 years, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20. You know those cool parkouring Boston Dynamics robots? And they're getting better and better and better, and they could dance and run, and you see people hitting them with sticks and boards to try and push them over and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
Those guys are going to be out in the field soon. They're going to be equipped with LiDAR, sight, AI, all of that crap. So not only they can relay anything from top, they're going to have it built into their system. They're going to be able to see a play because they're going to track the ball. They're going to see the play in front of them. They're going to be nimble enough to do a cartwheel out of the way, right? Instead of being a 70-year-old fat man who can't get out of the way. Their eyes aren't going to age. They're not going to be biased towards any other team. They're not going to be hung over from the night before. They're going to be objective and not, whatever. They're not going to be subject to emotional rage. That's where we're going, man. We're going to see Boston Dynamics, literal robo umpires out there. That's going to be awesome.
No, those robots should be playing the game. Why do we still have humans?
That'd be pretty sweet.
No, but it's true. As an umpire, I don't hate it because baseball, in its purest sense, you just want the game to be played and run the way it should be, and that's where the humans element though has to stay in it. And that's the one flaw with the Boston Dynamics taking over, is that there are certain pace of play things that umpires come into to be part of. So maybe there'd be one wrangler out there or something. But I can't see the Boston Dynamics robot saying one pitch left, to the pitcher.
The rule book, interpretation, calling time.
Right, the robot doesn't know to come out. Right, but the robot doesn't know to come out and sweep the plate off because the guy just fouled something off of him, or the catcher just took one in the nuts.
Guy took one in the nuts. Got to give him time.
Right, they don't know that. There's a brotherhood between catchers and umpires that just cannot be replaced. And I think that's the one part why we will never see it fully automated.
Yeah, is a robot going to know how long to wait before coming out to the mound to break up the mound conversation?
Well, I got to tell you, they could program a fixed number in because there is no fixed amount of time that you are supposed to wait.
Stand there until they say, "Oh, that's enough." And then
Yeah. Oh my God.
Break it up.
That's one of the most fun things. Yeah, that's one of the most fun things as an umpire too, is to stand there for a little bit and be like, okay, I think he's talked to him enough. I'm gonna just start wandering out there. And I love when I would stroll and then they'd break it up and I could just turn right around, And you'll notice the umpires never jog out to the mound. It's just a pace of play thing though. If they just feel like it's getting too long, and that's what robots can't do, is they can't control pace of play.
See, to me, there's still enough for the human umpires to do, in my opinion. There still is.
There are.
Oh, there is. Yeah. Rule interpretations, all that stuff. All right. Well, the Giants are heading into a final weekend series with the Dodgers, like we mentioned before. It's a big one. They could be as little as 2 games back, or they could be as far as 8 games back. So it is kind of a pivotal series. You got May versus Webb tomorrow night, Ohtani versus Roupp on Saturday. Of course, Ohtani probably is only going to go like 2 innings. And then Yamamoto versus Ray on Sunday. So it kind of a big series. But you got your Webb and Ray out there. So, you're putting your horses out, and that's what you want.
And I hear they did.
Been better.
It was supposed to be Birdsong or something, and then they moved things around.
They skipped Birdsong. During his last start, it became evident that they were going to skip him. I even tweeted it. I said, "There's absolutely no way you can start Hayden Birdsong against the Dodgers." I don't remember who he pitched against the other day. Must have been a crappy team because I can't remember who they played on Sunday. That's what's crazy to me. But a team like the Dodgers would take advantage of him. Exactly. And
by the way, that game, he somehow still pitched 5 innings and only gave up 1.
Yeah, but if it was the Dodgers, he would have pitched 5 innings and given up 7.
But he looked like he didn't know where the ball was going at all.
Yeah.
No, not a clue. His release point, FP was talking about it on the radio broadcast that his head was moving forward faster than the rest of his body. And that was causing a lot of the balls to drift high. And I thought that was an interesting point. He just doesn't know where the ball is going when he releases it right now. And you can't have a guy like that starting in your rotation. No. It's kind of frustrating that there's 2 holes in the rotation, which is why it's nice that Webb, Roupp, and Ray line up for this weekend because they have been their 3 best starters.
Yeah.
And we'll talk next episode about who we should get, and I think it'll be a starting pitcher.
Yeah, that's one of the holes, and maybe we'll have to talk about first base still or an outfield spot.
Yeah, so 3 against LA, then they go on the All-Star break, and then they open on the road for the second half, which 3 at the Blue Jays, 3 at the Braves, are having kind of a bad year this year, surprising. And then back home for 3 versus New York, Mets, and Pittsburgh. I'm giving you so many games because we're going to be recording probably in about 2.5 weeks from now because I'll be back out again. I'll be out at sea for work, so we'll be recording the week of the 28th. I know. I hate this. I want to record more
I'm just being a pirate. It sounds like you're out at sea and shiver me. Yeah.
Arg. When is Talk Like a Pirate Day, by the way? I think it's October. Anyway, so that's going to do it for episode 318. You can follow us individually at ChadK21, at 2OutHits with the number 2 for Eric, at TortureCast. For us collectively, we're also on Facebook. You can also email us at torturecast@gmail.com. Willie, how's MGA been going?
It's going good. We just recently put together all of the big checks and stuff and got them all collated for next season.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a great picture.
It's kind of funny.
All that stuff is happening. Great. Yeah, you should see what that room looks like before I get it all organized like that. It is just massive boxes everywhere, and it's a small space, but I gotta say that's the type of work. It's annoying and it's frustrating and whatever, but when you're done, it is so satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to put all these things out of all these boxes. You got them from the East Bay. You dragged them all the way to the city. And then they're all in order and they're all ready. I don't know. There's something just so lovely about that kind of thing. And you know that you're doing it for a good reason too. So that was nice. And the season's going well. The next tournament's in Tilden Park. And, things are going good. I won a tournament, actually, not that long ago. A couple of tournaments ago. So
golf clap.
I'm having a decent season too. But yeah, things are going good. And but I will say that probably the thing that I want to talk about the most is if you're a nerd like me and Chad and you don't have a Steam Deck, Steam Deck, recommended. I just got one recently. It's the best.
Did you? Yeah. No.
Oh yeah.
My son has.
Is that
one.
like
it's actually
clean your floors or something? Is that what that is?
No, you can play like PC games on a mobile device. Insane. It's insane.
Yeah. Think of like a Switch or a PlayStation Vita or one of those handheld devices, but you can play all the PC games. So yeah. Yeah, it's nice.
And they
Okay,
play
so
like
won't
absolutely
bluff and
perfect.
shine my
Like,
floor. Okay, I
So
understand.
no, sorry. You would not want to put water on the Steam Deck.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's
what
not
I'm
a good
spending
idea.
most of my time doing these days. Steam Deck.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. I'm glad you got that. Yeah, I've been looking at Prime deals, looking at things like that. My son wants another laptop. That's another story. But he's got all the technology in the world. Guy is spoiled, but having fun. Eric, you got anything going on?
No, not really. I'm just looking to kick back, and like Willie, I watch every game too. So
Yeah.
so see my thoughts on Twitter, but I'm not even on there that often anymore.
It's
it's
hard,
just
man. Yeah,
It
it's
is.
just
It's
everything
tough.
is
I'd
so
say
different.
Giants chatter on Giants chatter on Facebook, but again, we're really not doing much. Everybody's like crazy busy. I'm the one who has nothing on my plate, and I'm not going to just keep it going on my own. So I do watch every game, so feel free to interact with me on Twitter still. I will not call it by its new name.
No, and yeah, even the media stopped doing that, which is kind of nice to see. But all right, well, we'll be back in a couple of weeks for episode 319. Until then, for Willie, for Eric, this is Chad. We'll see you next time. Go Giants! Happy All-Star break. Boom.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.